If you wake up most mornings with a tight, squeezing pressure around your head, almost like someone wrapped a band too snugly around your temples, I want you to pause and listen carefully. And if, when you lie down at night, you can actually feel or hear your heartbeat pulsing in your ears, that's not just getting older. Those are classic warning signs your blood pressure may be higher than you realize. I see this all the time in my clinic. People come in convinced they'd know if something was wrong. They expect chest pain or dramatic symptoms. But high blood pressure is quiet. It creeps in slowly, day by day, until one morning you look at the monitor and see numbers like 148/90 or 155/92 staring back at you. And the frustration sets in. You've already tried to do the right things. You cut back on salt. You walk more than you used to. Maybe you're already on medication. Yet those numbers refuse to move. And that's exhausting, emotionally and physically. Because deep down, it's not just about the numbers. It's about your heart, your brain, your independence, your future with the people you love. I want you to know something important right away: you are not failing. And you are not out of options. There is a simple, natural support strategy that has helped many of my patients over 60 gently bring their blood pressure down, often within the first week. It doesn't involve extreme diets, expensive supplements, or adding another pill to your day. It's something humble, affordable, and likely already sitting in your kitchen cabinet. It comes from a deep red flower that's been used for centuries across Africa, the Caribbean, Asia, and Latin America. Long before blood pressure cuffs existed, people relied on it to support circulation, heart health, and overall vitality. Today, modern science is finally catching up to what traditional medicine has known all along. But here's the key, and this is where most people go wrong. This method only works if it's done the right way. The timing matters. The preparation matters. And one small mistake can mean the difference between real results and no change at all. By the end of this video series, you'll understand why blood pressure becomes harder to control after 60. What this deep red tea actually does inside your blood vessels, why most people try it and fail, and how to use it correctly and safely, especially if you're already on medication. Before we go any further, there's a simple self-check I want you to do that can reveal how long your blood pressure may have been elevated. It takes less than 10 seconds and gives us an important clue about what's happening inside your body. What's happening inside your body? Let's do that next. Before we talk about solutions, I want you to do a quick check with me. This isn't complicated, and it doesn't require any medical equipment. In fact, you can do it right now wherever you're sitting. Look down at your feet and ankles. If you need to pause the video, go ahead. Now, press your thumb firmly into the front of your lower leg, right above the ankle bone. Hold it there for about 5 seconds. Then lift your thumb away and watch closely. Do you see a small dent left behind? Does it take more than a second or two to disappear? If it does, that's something called pitting edema. And while it may seem harmless, it's actually one of the quieter signs that your circulatory system has been under strain for a long time. Here's what's happening inside your body. When blood pressure stays elevated month after month or year after year, your heart has to push harder just to move blood forward. Over time, that extra pressure affects how efficiently fluid is returned back up from your legs toward your heart. Gravity pulls fluid downward, especially when you sit or stand for long periods, and your body starts holding on to extra water and sodium. That swelling you just tested for? It's your body waving a small red flag. This fluid retention doesn't just make your legs feel heavy or tight. It actually feeds back into the problem, increasing the total volume of fluid in your bloodstream. More fluid means more pressure pushing against already stressed blood vessel walls. It becomes a cycle, and a frustrating one. This is why so many people feel stuck. They lower salt. They drink more water. They do everything they're told. Yet the pressure barely moves because no one explains what's happening underneath the surface. Now, let's talk about your blood vessels themselves. I want you to imagine your arteries like flexible garden hoses. When you're younger, those hoses are soft and elastic. When water flows through them, they expand easily. No resistance. No strain. But as we age, especially after 60, those hoses change. The walls become stiffer. Plaque from cholesterol builds up. The lining becomes less responsive. Instead of expanding smoothly, the vessels resist the flow. So when your heart pumps blood, it's trying to force fluid through narrow, rigid pathways. That resistance is what shows up on the blood pressure cuff as a higher number. And here, that's the part many people don't realize: this stiffness is reversible to a degree. Not overnight, and not with one magic trick, but with consistent signals that tell your blood vessels to relax, release fluid, and behave more like they used to. This is where the deep red tea I mentioned earlier becomes so important. It doesn't just mask symptoms. It works on multiple levels, supporting vessel relaxation, reducing excess fluid, and easing pressure naturally. But before I explain exactly how it does that, there's one major mistake people over 60 make when trying to lower blood pressure naturally. And it's costing them months, sometimes years, of progress. I see it over and over again in my practice. Let me explain that next. To understand why this red tea works so well, especially for people over 60, we need to talk honestly about what aging does to your cardiovascular system, without fear, and without complicated medical jargon. Because once you truly understand what's happening inside your body, everything starts to make sense. As we age, our blood vessels naturally lose flexibility. This isn't something you caused, and it's not a personal failure. It's a biological process. Over decades, the inner lining of your arteries, called the endothelium, becomes less responsive. Calcium deposits build up. Cholesterol particles settle into tiny cracks along the vessel walls. Inflammation lingers quietly. All of this makes your arteries stiffer and narrower. So now, every single time your heart pumps, it has to generate more force just to move blood forward. That force is what we measure as blood pressure. And the longer this continues, the harder your heart has to work, even when you're resting or sleeping. That's why many people tell me they feel pressure in the head first thing in the morning, a pounding heartbeat when lying down, fatigue that doesn't match their activity level, shortness of breath with tasks that used to feel easy. Your heart never truly gets a break. And here's something important most people are never told: blood pressure medications manage pressure, but they don't always address vessel health. They're necessary and often life-saving, but they're only part of the picture. What your blood vessels also need are signals that tell them to relax. Your body already has a natural system designed for this. It relies on a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide tells your blood vessels to widen, soften, and allow blood to flow smoothly. When nitric oxide levels are healthy, your arteries behave more like those flexible garden hoses we talked about earlier. But after 60, nitric oxide production drops significantly. That's when blood pressure becomes stubborn. That's when numbers stop responding easily. That's when frustration sets in. Now here's the encouraging part. Certain natural compounds, specifically deep red plant pigments called anthocyanins, have been shown to stimulate nitric oxide production in the vessel lining. These compounds don't force your body to do anything unnatural. They gently remind it how to function more efficiently. And one of the richest natural sources of these compounds comes from a deep crimson flower that's brewed into a tart, ruby-colored tea. This tea doesn't just support vessel relaxation. It also helps your kidneys release excess sodium and water, addressing that fluid retention we talked about earlier. Less fluid means less pressure. Less pressure means less strain on your heart. That's why this approach works on multiple layers at once. But here's where I need to slow you down for a moment. Not all teas work the same way. And not all preparation methods deliver real benefits. In fact, most people who say, "I tried that and it didn't work," unknowingly made one simple mistake that completely cancels the effect. Let me explain exactly what that mistake is, and how to avoid it, next. This is the part where most people unknowingly sabotage their results, and I want you to pay close attention, because this mistake is incredibly common. When people hear herbal tea, they tend to treat it casually. They dip a tea bag into warm water, swirl it around for a minute, maybe two, and drink it while multitasking. The water barely changes color. Then, a week later, they tell me, "Dr. Sarati, I tried that tea, and nothing happened." And I already know why. The problem isn't the tea. The problem is how it's prepared and when it's consumed. The beneficial compounds in hibiscus, those deep red anthocyanins and organic acids, are not fragile, but they do require proper heat and time to be released. If the water isn't hot enough, or the tea isn't steeped long enough, you're essentially drinking flavored water, not a therapeutic infusion. Here's a simple visual test I use with patients. When prepared correctly, hibiscus tea should be a deep ruby red, almost like cranberry juice or red wine. If your tea looks pale pink or translucent, it's too weak to have any meaningful effect on blood pressure. Another mistake I see is drinking it ice cold, straight from the refrigerator. Cold temperature slows digestion and absorption, especially as we age. Warm liquids are absorbed more efficiently and send a stronger signal to your blood vessels. Then there's the timing issue. Blood pressure follows a daily rhythm. It naturally rises in the morning shortly after waking and often spikes again in the early afternoon. If you drink this tea randomly, or late at night, you miss the opportunity to blunt those pressure surges. Drinking it too late also creates another problem. Hibiscus has mild diuretic properties. That means you'll likely be waking up during the night to use the bathroom, interrupting deep sleep. Poor sleep, in turn, raises blood pressure even more. So timing is not a minor detail. It's part of the therapy. One more critical mistake: weak dosing. One tea bag is not enough for therapeutic benefit in most adults over 60. You need a sufficient concentration to send a meaningful biochemical signal to your cardiovascular system. Think of it like exercise. A 5-minute stroll is nice, but it won't build strength. The same principle applies here. And finally, many people unknowingly buy the wrong product. Fruit teas, berry blends, and hibiscus-flavored teas often contain very little actual hibiscus. Some have added sugars, artificial flavors, or multiple ingredients that dilute the effect. For blood pressure support, purity matters. All of these small missteps add up. And when they do, people give up on something that could have helped them significantly. Now that you understand what not to do, it's time for the most important part. I'm going to walk you through the exact preparation method and timing protocol I give my own patients, the one that consistently produces measurable results. Let's go through that step by step next. Now let's talk about what does work, because when this tea is prepared and timed correctly, the results can be genuinely impressive. This is the exact protocol I give my patients in the office. It's simple, it's affordable, and most importantly, it's consistent with how the science actually works. First, let's talk about the tea itself. You want pure hibiscus tea, nothing blended, nothing flavored, nothing mixed with rose hips, berries, or citrus peel. Check the ingredient label. It should say hibiscus flowers or hibiscus sabdurifa. That's it. The deeper and darker the dried petals, the better the quality tends to be. Now for the preparation. Use 2 tea bags, not 1. If you're using loose dried flowers, use 2 full teaspoons. Bring fresh water to a full rolling boil. Warm or hot tap water is not enough. Boiling water is essential to properly extract the beneficial compounds. Pour 1 cup, 8 ounces, of the boiling water over the tea. Immediately cover the mug with a small plate or saucer. This step matters more than people realize. Covering the mug traps steam and prevents volatile compounds from escaping. Now set a timer for exactly 6 minutes. Not 3. Not 4. Not until you remember. 6 minutes allows optimal extraction without degrading the active compounds. When the timer goes off, remove the tea bags or strain the flowers. The liquid should be a rich, deep red, almost jewel-toned. Let it cool slightly, then drink it while still warm. If the tart flavor is too strong, you may add a small amount of stevia or a teaspoon of raw honey. Avoid white sugar or artificial sweeteners, as they can interfere with blood sugar and inflammation pathways. Now, let's talk about timing, because this is where the magic really happens. Drink your first cup in the morning, after breakfast. Not on an empty stomach. Hibiscus is naturally acidic, and taking it with food is gentler on digestion, especially after 60. Your second cup should be in the early afternoon, ideally between 2 o'clock and 3 p.m. This timing helps blunt the second natural blood pressure rise that often occurs later in the day, without disrupting sleep. Do not drink this tea late in the evening. The mild diuretic effect can interrupt sleep, and poor sleep raises blood pressure. This twice-daily routine maintains steady levels of beneficial compounds in your bloodstream, giving your blood vessels repeated signals to relax and release excess fluid. And now, a very important safety reminder. If you are currently taking blood pressure medication, do not stop or adjust it on your own. This tea can be used alongside medication, but because it works, your blood pressure may drop faster than expected. That's why monitoring is essential. In the next part, I'll explain exactly what changes most people notice in the first 7 days, how to track progress safely, and when to involve your doctor. Once you begin following this protocol correctly, many people are surprised by how quickly their body responds. Not always dramatically, but noticeably. And that's important, because small changes are often the first sign that something deeper is shifting in the right direction. In the first 3 to 5 days, most patients don't see huge changes in their blood pressure numbers yet. Instead, they feel different. One of the most common things people tell me is that the pressure in their head feels lighter, especially in the morning. That tight, heavy sensation behind the eyes or across the forehead starts to ease. Some describe it as feeling less full when they wake up. Others notice fewer pounding sensations when lying down at night. When blood pressure begins to soften, your heart doesn't have to push as aggressively against stiff vessels. That reduces the awareness of your heartbeat, especially in quiet moments. Another early change is less swelling in the ankles and feet. Remember the pitting test we talked about earlier? Many patients repeat that test after a few days and notice that the indentation disappears faster, or doesn't appear at all. That's a sign excess fluid is leaving the body. By day 7, this is when numbers often begin to change. The systolic pressure, the top number, usually responds first. I commonly see drops of 5 to 10 points within the first week when the tea is prepared and timed correctly. Some people see even larger reductions, especially if their starting pressure was higher. Diastolic pressure, the bottom number, may take longer to shift. That's normal. Diastolic pressure reflects long-term vessel tone, and that improves gradually with consistent support. Another benefit many people don't expect is better sleep. When blood pressure is elevated, your nervous system stays in a semi-alert state, even at night. As pressure decreases, the body can shift into deeper, more restorative sleep cycles. Patients tell me they wake up fewer times during the night and feel more rested in the morning. With better circulation comes more daytime energy. Oxygen and nutrients are delivered more efficiently to your muscles and brain. Everyday activities, walking, gardening, errands, feel less draining. Now, I want to be very clear about something. Results vary. Your response depends on how high your blood pressure was to begin with, whether you're on medication, your diet, stress levels, and activity, your consistency with the protocol. This is not an overnight cure. It's a support strategy. And when used consistently, it often produces steady, reliable improvement. That's why tracking your progress matters. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how to monitor your blood pressure safely, how often to check it, and when changes should be shared with your doctor, especially if you're taking medication. If you're going to use any natural method to support blood pressure, tracking your numbers properly is not optional, it's essential. This is especially true if you're already taking medication. I've seen people panic over a single high reading or feel discouraged because they checked their pressure at the wrong time, under the wrong conditions. So let me show you how to do this the right way. First, if you don't already have one, I strongly recommend a home blood pressure monitor. You don't need anything fancy. An upper arm automatic cuff is usually the most reliable. Wrist cuffs can work, but only if used exactly as directed. Choose a time and stick with it. The best time to check your blood pressure is in the morning, after you wake up and use the bathroom, but before you eat, drink coffee, or take medications. This gives you the most consistent baseline. Sit quietly for 5 full minutes before measuring. No phone. No TV. Feet flat on the floor, back supported, arm resting at heart level. This step alone can change a reading by 5 to 10 points. Take 2 readings, 1 minute apart, and write both down. Use the average. Blood pressure naturally fluctuates, so single readings don't tell the full story. Now, let's talk about frequency. Check your pressure daily for the first week after starting the T protocol. This helps you see early trends. After that, if your numbers are stable, you can reduce checks to a few times per week. Always record your results. Use a notebook or a simple notes app. Write down, date and time, blood pressure reading. How you felt that morning. Patterns matter more than individual numbers. Now, an important safety note. If you on blood pressure medication and you notice readings consistently dropping, especially below 110 systolic, or if you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or unusually tired, contact your healthcare provider. Do not ignore symptoms, and do not adjust medications on your own. This tea can enhance the effects of medication, which is a good thing, but only when managed properly. Bring your log to your doctor's appointment. Show them what you're doing. Many providers appreciate patients who are actively involved in their care and tracking their progress responsibly. Another thing to watch for: hydration. Because hibiscus has mild diuretic properties, make sure you're drinking enough water throughout the day. Dehydration can falsely elevate readings and make you feel unwell. And finally, remember this: numbers are information, not judgment. A higher reading doesn't mean failure. A lower reading doesn't mean you're cured. Blood pressure management is a long-term process, and consistency matters more than perfection. In the next part, we'll talk about who should be cautious with this tea, who should avoid it, and how to use it safely alongside other health conditions. Before we wrap everything together, I want to talk honestly about safety, because no natural remedy, no matter how gentle, is right for everyone in every situation. Hibiscus tea is generally very safe for most adults, especially when used the way I've outlined. That said, there are specific groups of people who need to be cautious, and I never want you guessing when it comes to your health. First, if you are currently taking blood pressure medication, this tea should be treated as a support, not a replacement. Hibiscus can enhance the effects of medications such as ACE inhibitors, calcium channel blockers, and diuretics. That's often beneficial, but it also means your blood pressure could drop lower than intended if you are not monitoring closely. This is why daily tracking in the beginning is so important. If your readings consistently trend downward or you experience dizziness, lightheadedness, blurred vision, or unusual fatigue, that's your signal to contact your doctor. Second, people with naturally low blood pressure should approach hibiscus tea carefully. If your systolic pressure regularly runs close to 100 or lower, this tea may push it too far down. Symptoms like weakness, faintness, or feeling washed out are signs to stop and reassess with your healthcare provider. Third, if you have kidney disease or electrolyte imbalances, you should talk to your doctor before starting this protocol. Because hibiscus affects fluid balance and kidney activity, it's important to make sure it fits safely into your overall treatment plan. Another group to be cautious includes those taking medications that affect fluid balance or potassium levels. While hibiscus is not extreme in its effects, even mild changes can matter when combined with certain prescriptions. Now, let me clarify something that often causes confusion. This tea is not a detox, and it is not meant to be consumed excessively. More is not better. 2 properly prepared cups per day is the therapeutic range. Drinking large quantities throughout the day will not speed results and may increase the risk of side effects. Also, if you experience stomach discomfort, try drinking it only after meals, reducing the steep time slightly, or switching to loose leaf flowers, which some people tolerate better. Your body's feedback matters. Now, let's talk about expectations. This protocol works best when viewed as part of a long-term lifestyle strategy, not a quick fix. It supports vessel relaxation, fluid balance, and circulation, but it doesn't override poor sleep, high stress, excess sodium, or inactivity. When combined with reasonable sodium reduction, daily movement, stress management, consistent sleep, the results tend to be much stronger and more sustainable. In the final part, I'll summarize the full plan, explain how to make this a permanent habit, and share the most important mindset shift that helps people succeed long-term. Let's bring everything together and turn this into a simple, realistic plan you can actually follow. Lowering blood pressure isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Small, supportive actions done every day create powerful long-term results, and this tea works best when it becomes part of your routine, not a short experiment. Here's the plan I recommend to my patients. First, commit to 30 days. 7 days show you what's possible. 30 days allow your blood vessels, kidneys, and nervous system to adapt and stabilize. Think of this as giving your body time to remember how to function more efficiently. Every morning after breakfast, prepare your hibiscus tea exactly as instructed: 2 tea bags or 2 teaspoons of dried flowers, boiling water, covered, steeped for 6 minutes, then drink it warm. Repeat the same process in the early afternoon between 2 and 3 p.m. Treat these 2 cups like appointments with your health. Second, continue tracking your blood pressure. Check it each morning under the same conditions. Write it down. Look for trends, not daily fluctuations. A gradual downward shift is what matters most. Third, support the tea with simple habits. You don't need extreme diets or intense workouts. Focus on the basics. Keep sodium reasonable, not eliminated. Move your body daily, even gentle walking. Stay hydrated. Get consistent sleep. Take moments during the day to slow your breathing. These small things amplify the tea's effects. Fourth, stay connected with your doctor. Bring your blood pressure log to your next appointment. Share what you're doing. If your numbers improve significantly, medication adjustments, when appropriate, can be made safely under supervision. This isn't about rejecting modern medicine. It's about using every safe tool available to protect your heart. Now, here's the most important mindset shift I want you to take with you. High blood pressure is not a personal failure. It is not a weakness. And it does not mean your best years are behind you. Your body is incredibly responsive, even after 60, when you give it the right signals consistently. I've watched patients regain confidence, energy, and peace of mind simply by taking control of their daily habits and understanding how their body works. This tea is not magic, but it is powerful when used correctly. If you follow this protocol for 1 full month, monitor your numbers, and listen to your body, you're giving yourself a real chance at healthier blood pressure and a stronger heart. If this information helped you, share it with someone you care about. So many people are struggling silently with high blood pressure and don't know where to turn. And if you want more science-based, practical guidance for staying healthy and independent as you age, make sure to subscribe. I'm Dr. Christina Sarady, and my mission is to help you live well, feel strong, and protect your health at any age. Take care of yourself. And take care of your heart, red heart.